What's up everyone, it's Jan Bors, new video and a traditional topic. Internal selection versus a national selection. The differences, what I would prefer and especially why. So if you're ready, let's talk. Alright guys, so we have basically two options how you can select the songs. It seems like two options, but actually it's more likely a scale. You have international, you have internal part and you have a national selection part. Now, the internal part is, if I extremely shortcut it, that a bunch of people from the television producers or one producer even will select a song, select the artist or artist with the song, and that one goes to Eurovision, period. Of course, in this internal processes, it's of course a little bit different story because most of it's like, let's apply with the song, and the artist all together, or let artists to apply whatever they want. There are specific number of rules which every single country applies to who they are selecting. Of course, they can do another thing. They can wait until 1st of September and just select some songs which just are released in that country in whatever language they want. They don't even need to choose something from their own country because it depends on their internal rules. And then ask the producers, the managers, the artists if they would like to participate. So there are many various of options. The thing is that this process basically has this kind of a, like I would say, this value, or it's having this downside is that it's extremely kind of demotivational. Bunch of people from TV, no one kind of knows, are selecting one artist from plenty, and even though they have some commissions and so on, they after all select one song and one artist only, and there is the whole focus on that one person. There's an issue with transparency, and it always will be. That doesn't mean it's a wrong thing to do, but there will be always a problem with transparency, always. Otherwise, it makes no sense, it's internal choice. Second of all, it only pinpoints one artist per year, with public broadcaster giving a chance to one artist per year to shine. And third of all, this is a more complicated thing. Like, who's choosing? Like, what is it? Who knows better? Is there a strong producer? So it puts much more pressure on producers to really select good and do the right decisions, because there is the full responsibility with this completely. So even though you choose the song, even though then you decide to revamp the song or something which already makes no sense, why would you select a song and then change it? That I would, if I'm an artist, I would immediately question, so why would you select a song this and then you change it to something else? It makes no sense. And again, so we are having the problem and issues with transparency, but revamps and so on is another topic. I'm not a big fan of it, because that means that your previous choice or even national selection choice wasn't really good if you need to revamp it, right? So something is wrong, something different won, what then represents the country. Anyway, this is the problems of internal selection. Now you understand why I'm not a huge fan of it, because first of all, it puts so much pressure on the producer that you can select only one thing. Second of all, if you're talking to other artists, their managers, you want to build something bigger, more valuable than maybe even Eurovision itself in the way in domestic country. Something would strengthen the relationship between you, between the television, the public broadcaster, and the industry, between you and you don't give space to much artists. You can talk to them, but then yet you're the guy who decided. That doesn't matter if there is a commission, and doesn't matter. It really. The other choice is national selection. Again, a million forms. It can be a big show, it can be online only, it can be live, it doesn't need to be live. It can be many variety of different things. The thing is about national selection, if it's done properly, which means if you select the proper artists, if you set good rules to it, if you are doing it oftenly, so you know that you will do it in 3 years, 4 years in a row, which gives you a space to really create, you are receiving extremely big bonuses. First of all, you have a direct and much wider power towards the music industry, because if they will feel that you're doing your job right, if they will feel that there is a real competition and it leads to something, if you are selecting variety of artists, because for example you select like two bigger ones, then some middle table, and then some newbies to try, because all this process is extremely important, you will give them chance all to grow. You also will give a chance to somebody to be better. You also give a chance to somebody to learn better, and therefore you're giving a chance to all the industry to move forward, and not just most of the time the music industry itself, but also the people around it, surrounding it. Marketing people, they have much more to do much more social media, marketing, videos, creativity. Also the people who, for example, doing stagings or approaching the music videos and so on, to really figure out what they like, how to approach it. And you, because you're in the center of all of this, what creation is happening, and consulting it and talking about it, you can influence everybody. You can learn from them, but you can also teach them. You can really, put your vision into them a little bit more. And it's of course much more work, and it's just must be done extremely properly. And this is the problem of national selection, because if it's not approached properly, it can also turn out bad. First of all, if you're not able to finding many good songs, if you're not able to motivate enough good artists, if you're not able to communicate your message, why they should go to national selection first. What if the bad song wins after all, because for some reason they receive more public votes, they manage to have more funds? How will you balance it? It comes with more tricky and more challenging, let's say, tasks to you as a producer, but it's pays off if it's done properly. If you really have a vision to grow at Eurovision, be the best of Eurovision, do it this way, then you can really grow everything up. Everything can just rise if you are doing it right. So if you are not sure what you want from national selection and just doing national selection for national selection, then I don't think it's really worth it, because it lacks of a substance, it lacks of a vision, it's empty. It's just, let's put people into competition, but do they really compete? Does it really make sense? Are they even ready? Is there somebody who can really teach them, give them space to learn, and also give them space to practice the proper national selection, or not? And if the answer is more likely no, then I don't think the national selection is a way, especially because it can turn out bad. But if you have a capacity, if you have the vision, if there is a acceptance in the broadcaster, what is the reason for growing and making this happen, and therefore growing the whole industry, then it makes sense. If the answer for those things is more likely no, we just want this one song, then do it internally. Of course, with more pressure on when it didn't work, because this what is not happening in the national selection. In national selection, something what is not that great can win. People choose it, juries choose it. You're safe, because it was not your decision directly who will go. And I think this is also fine, because this also prepares you for a competition, and that's put more pressure on selecting those artists and those songs, because you never know. You can guess, but you never really know who wins if the competition is fair, which I would definitely suggest for everybody who's doing it to be extremely fair, without touch of the producers towards the results. Because if you don't do it, you will, like, long term this won't work. Long term this will create more problems. So always do it properly, always do it with the risk. The national selection is always a little bit of a risk, but it long term worth it done properly. Intern doesn't have anything. Intern is just, let's do Eurovision once per year. One times we will decide right, one times we will decide bad, but that's it. So that's the big difference. I don't know what you prefer and why, but I give you some arguments for and against. You can choose what would you prefer. If your country, for example, is doing national selection, would you more likely prefer them to do the internal one? Do you think it would be better? Especially if they don't know, if they're not doing a proper national selection, do you believe that they are able then to select just one song? Because this is also a good question. If they are not able to select more songs or more good songs or more good, better artists for and prepare them for 1 year for one song? Do they do it with the internal selection? I don't know. So let's keep it this way. Write me in the comments below, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, and see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.